Inspector. It is Monday, June 30th, a little after 9 o'clock at night, and this will be the video where we go over all the trades and holdings for the two YieldMax weekly paying dividend funds, ULTY, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, the Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income ETF. So if you own shares of ULTY or LFG, this is the video you're going to want to watch because you can see everything that they did, purchases, sales, options in the day, and you can see where everything is set up for the rest of the week. Update on the channel, we broke the 1,000 subscriber goal, so thank you very much for that. And been doing well. Yesterday's video already has 873 views. Friday's was my first video over 1,000, so thank you guys. New goal we talked about is the 4,000 watch hours. We're about 2,800, so got a little ways to go for that. Okay, so let's go ahead, take a look. In general, we had a lot of green, especially if you saw the thumbnail. I think LFGY was nearly perfect. I think they might have only had one or two in the red. Decent amount of green on the side of ULTY as well. Obviously more than red, and some nice up days. ULTY itself up to $6.30, and then even after hours climbed even more, $6.33. I might have to break my own rule and buy it above my cost basis because I do want more. LFGY also up 1.63% and also continued to climb. We're nearing $41 a share. We'll go through within the page here to see more details on that. We'll start with ULTY and we'll start with the trades. I'm trying to move through this quickly. I apologize. Obviously, late start. Just got home a few minutes ago from my kids had a swim meet out of town, out of state. So we went out there, had to win some races and come back home. So now we're putting this video together for you. So ULTY had to put a lot of money to use. Everybody buying into the fund, giving me more people that want to watch the channel. So they put all that money to work, buying more shares of the listed shares here: First Solar, Mara, Robinhood, AST, Space Mobile, Oklo, AppLovin, Coinbase, IonQ, New Scale Power, Palantir, Reddit, Rigetti, Super Microcomputer, Tempest, Tesla, and Upstart. So it wasn't all of them, but it was a good percentage of them. All right, so anytime they buy more shares, they automatically are going to start selling options on those. They don't let anything go to waste. They sell 100% of what they can, and they also protect 100% of what they sell. So with App, as you can see, where are they? Why don't I see it? Right there. 14,900 means you can sell 149 contracts. That's what they did. 355. Collected 86,000, bought some puts to protect the shares, the new shares. That cost 3,500. In total, a profit of 82,000. AST Space Mobile, along with buying more shares and selling those, that's what this new sell short is, selling a call. They also bought to close what they already had open for the week, 3,900 contracts at 56. And they sold 52s for next week, and they went ahead and sold 52s for next week as well with the new shares, overall profiting $650,000. As you can see, right, they bought the close for 19 cents. They're collecting around $1.50 a share, so that was a nice little win. Coinbase, they bought the close their 385s. They paid a little bit for them, $1.12. But they went ahead and rolled them out to next week, collecting almost $10 a share. Plus, they had some more shares that they purchased, so they sold additional. So $362.50 is the strike price, and we are now pushed out to the 11th, collected $764,000. First Solar, just selling new options to go with the new shares, along with buying new puts to protect them. $53,000 profit. Robinhood, this one went against us. They've been on a tear lately. They had to close out their 88s for the 3rd, and they sold 95s for the 11th. So paying $6, collecting $4. There's your loss. But since we bought more shares, we went ahead and sold some extras, so that helped a little bit. Still lost $642,000 on that transaction, or group of transactions. IonQ just selling more options to go with the new shares, $133,000 profit. Same with Mara, $139,000. Let's see, we're selling next week for everything. 44.50s for IonQ, 16s for Mara. MicroStrategy, I just talked about it and said, man, I don't like going into the week 1.5% to 2% out of the money. It could go to 400 just like that, and it sure did. So we had to close out those 390s, and we sold 410s for next week. Got a decent price for the 410s for next week, but not quite the $16.50 that we paid for them. So $222,000 loss. Oklo closed out 65s for this week, paying 21 cents. Sold 59.50s for next week, collecting anywhere from $2 to $2.30. And as you can see also, so these all line up. And then there was an extra 904 contracts that could be sold based off of the new purchase of shares, $636,000 profit. All the rest are just selling new options to go along with the new shares that were purchased and buying puts to protect them. So we'll just run the list. Palantir, $28,000 profit. Reddit, $52,000. Rigetti, $153,000. RH, this was an odd one. Okay, so I messed up. This one's not for buying new shares. If you remember, on Friday we went ahead and sold all our shares, but still continued to trade options on them. Well, we just closed out that option play, so I did miss this originally. Let me see. 180s, 166. Okay, so it wasn't all of them. For some reason, we just did a portion of them. So, not sure what they, or maybe, no, I'm sorry. This is still adding on to it. So they just added to that position even though they didn't buy or sell any shares. They just used some money to add on to that call spread that they already have. So that cost $177,000. SMCI, the rest are all just selling the shares to go along with the new, selling the options to go with the new shares. So SMCI profited $85,000. SMR, $54,000, Tempest AI, $26,000, Tesla, $32,000, and Upstart, $51,000. And then again, Vertiv and Vistra Corp are the same as RH. We don't own any shares. We just have a call spread, and so we added to that call spread as well. $271,000 debit, we'll call it. It's not really a loss because this is the investment. They on this end of it, on a debit call spread, you're putting the money in first and you're hoping to get more money out at the end when you close it. Whereas the rest of our strategies, when you sell a call, you just brought in the maximum amount you're going to bring. You hope that it ends worthless so you get to keep it all. But if it doesn't, you've got to spend some of that money. So these are the reverse of that, or the inverse of that. So you pay out the money up front and you hope to collect back more than you paid out. So spend another $271,000 and $352,000. All in all, for how much everything was up, we had a positive week. So we started on a Monday. We made $1.2 million. Not bad, especially when you see that our value of our shares went up by $15 million. We never have a positive day when we have that big of a increase in value, because that usually means you blew through all your call strike prices. Now, don't get too excited. They might have just let things go, and they're going to hope for the best here. So we switch over to the holdings page here. We've got a lot of colors, all right? So obviously your blue at the top, that's just helping separate. That's your heading at the top. Red, yellow, green, right down here. These are your options, whether they are in the money, out of the money, and close, that'd be yellow, or out of the money with a little bit of room to breathe, 5%, then they're green, okay? We do not want sold shares, sold calls to end up in the money, because then they have value. We want to sell something and then it to have no value, because then it's a whole lot cheaper to buy it back to close. There are a couple of small exceptions to that rule, and I'll point them out as we go. They are not colored in red, yellow, green. Then when I use orange next to them, that indicates that we just talked about a transaction over here, a trade that rolled those, so they're no longer current. The reason it's not just updated is because the trades download comes out in the evening after the day's over. The holdings update doesn't come out until the following morning. So tomorrow morning I download that, change all these around, and then prepare for the next day's close. This is what your intraday trades file looks like. So as you can see, we just went through the large group. Here's the start of ULTY, 148 was the line number to 221, so not terrible. Under 100 trades, that's not bad. LFGY, even better. Look at that. Can't wait. 3. All right, so AppLovin went up 4.88%, and if you haven't watched in a little while, we stopped mentioning every single individual stock's change in market value. We will just total it up at the end because you don't really care. Okay, so AppLovin went up almost 5% to over 350. Their calls are still 1.4 and 2.1% out of the money, so that's not bad if we can take a big up day and still be out of the money. AST Space Mobile, they are the big loser over here in ULTY today, losing 5.3%. That took these so far out of the money that they went ahead and rolled this week's 56s. They also have next week 56s that they're going to let them go because, as you can see, there's a almost $1 difference in premium for the week, so they're going to wait until that value decreases before they decide to buy it to close. Coinbase lost 0.8%. They got far enough out of the money that they decided to roll them. Those were the ones that still cost over $1, but they just decided to call it a win. Let's end this short trading week early, roll it the next week, and move on. And I can appreciate that because at the end of the week, that'll be that many less rolling trades on Friday. First Solar, big day, up 8.8%. Thank goodness we were way out of the money. So we're still 2.69% out of the money on this week's 170s. And we've got 167.50s for next week that are 1.1% out of the money. Robinhood was the big gainer on ULTY, up 12.77%. That blew right through the $88 call when it went to 93. The orange is over here, though, because they did roll. We had a roll on our trades page, but it was only for half the shares, 2,400. So they left 2,400 hoping for a pullback, and they rolled the other half. IonQ, again, big day, up 6.7%, almost $43. They're still 2.4 and 3.5% out of the money, so they are still looking good. Hopefully able to win that trade this week. LabU, this triple leveraged biotech bull, went down 0.3%. Still, or they are now 7.1% out of the money. Should be getting fairly cheap to close, so we get another down day, you'll probably see that get rolled to the following week. Mara Holdings up 4.3%. They went ahead and left everything alone. So their smaller portion of shares, 953 contracts, are 1.1% in the money. They've got 11,000 contracts at the $16 strike that are 2% out of the money. Mobileye Global is one of our newer ones, lost almost 2%, just under $18. With a call strike of 18.50, they're about 2.8% out of the money. MicroStrategy, I jinxed it, I know. Went up 5.3% on the first day of the week. Took us right in the money. They only rolled the deeper in the money, 390s. The 392.50s are still in play for the week. They're 2.9% in the money. So we could use a little 3% pullback tomorrow. That'd be nice. Oklo up 1.32%, but since they were so far out of the money, they went ahead and just decided to call it a win and roll these out the next week. They also have 63s already out the next week that are 12.5% out of the money. Palantir up 4.2%, still 3.4 and 5.6% out of the money on their calls, so nothing to do there. Reddit up almost 5.3%, a little over 150. Creeping up on that 155 call strike price, but they're still 2.9% out of the money. Rigetti up over 7%, 1186 with a $12 strike price. They're 1.18% out of the money. They've got 3,800 contracts for this week and almost 14,000 contracts at the same strike for next week. RH, this is one of our odd ones. You notice there's not a, I don't know why it moved on me. There's not a gray bar here. That's how we show the underlying and the amount of shares and the value, but we don't own shares of it. We just have a call spread on that. So that's why I have this colored in blue rather than red, yellow, green, because with a debit call spread, we want it to end up in the money, and I don't want to mark something in the money red, which in our terms is bad, when we want this in the money. So this can go in the money all at once. We would like to see RH run to 202.50. At that point, we would be capped at the most amount we could make. SMCI up over 3%. It took us 1 penny into the money, 49.01 on a $49 strike. They left it alone for now, 0.02% in the money. They also left their 52s that are 6% out of the money. So even if it's just sat right here the rest of the week, these would both end up being wins because 1 cent in the money is not that bad. Won't cost that much on closing day. SMR up over 3.5% to 39.56. Calls for this week are at 42.50. That's 7.4% out of the money, so no action needed. Same thing with Tempest AI. Didn't have to do anything. Lost almost 4.5%. They're now 11.7% out of the money. So again, everything over here on this side of the screen to the left of the colors was all as of the previous close. So on Friday, that closed at 85 cents. Now the stock went down 4.5%, and a whole nother day of trading went by. So these are going to be getting very cheap, and they'll most likely close them early with it being like that. And just take the win, roll it to the following week, collect extra premium for the extra time value. TNA, this is our triple leveraged small cap bull from Direxion, up 0.36%, 33.54. They've got $34 calls sold, 1.37% out of the money, and then they've got 35s for the following week that are 4.3% out of the money. TQQQ, the other triple leverage fund, up over 1.9% to 83 even. They've got strikes for 83 that are right at the money. I don't have an at the money color, so we just left it yellow. But their 81s, the large portion, 3,600 contracts, are now 2.4% in the money. They didn't take any action, though, so they are counting on a pullback, or even if not a pullback, if it could just sit still, it'll still continue to get cheaper throughout the week as time decays. Tesla down over 1.8%, 317.66. I messed up on my color there. Greater than 5 should be green. So they are 5.4 and 7% out of the money on calls expiring this week, 335s and 340s. And Upstart's the last stock we own, up almost 2%, still over 2% out of the money on those 66s. So looking good. Then the last two, Vertiv, which is VRT, and Vistra Corp, VST. We just have call spreads on them. So again, the 115 is in the money. We want it to go in the money. This one just doesn't make sense, though. 129 is the top end of it. So if it gets to 129, we stop making any money because then they move dollar for dollar. It's at 128.41, so it can't even get any better. Maybe I'm missing something. I could be getting this completely wrong. Same thing, not quite the same, right? But Vistra Corp's 170s are well in the money, 12.2%. It's at 193.81. They'll continue to make money till 197.50, and then at that point, they move dollar for dollar. One gets $1 more expensive to close, and one becomes worth $1 more. So what's the difference? So at this point, though, that we bought it, so time decay is going to keep on ticking away, and it's going to lose value anyway. So I wish I could talk to somebody about that one and get a better understanding of what the goal was. Big day, though, $15.8 million increase on ULTY on the total of all these shares owned. So gotta love it. No change here because they don't show you the outstanding share changes on trading day. You find it out the next day on holding. I would assume, though, that we did have have some more people buy into the fund. All right, so that's ULTY. We're done with that. Let's move on to LFGY. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, LFGY, a lot quicker to go through. There was only one stock that they traded options on today, and that was Galaxy Digital. They bought to close the 2050s, $20.50 for $1.69. Obviously, that hurt a little. And they sold the other side of the call spread, so that kind of helped take that away a little bit. And then they sold 24s out till next week. This time they did not purchase the other side of the call, so it's not a call spread. It's just a covered call sold on it. Lost $38,000 on the trading day. Nothing that can't be recovered on another day. I did forget to mention, right? So in case you missed the weekend video, we did come up with our estimate. I explained all about how we got there, but we're guessing 48 cents will be the distribution announced by LFGY on Wednesday. And quickly, ULTY, I think I said 9 cents. 9 cents is the guess for ULTY on Wednesday. All right, back to LFGY. So a $38,000 loss and a $4 million increase in value based on the increases of the funds themselves, the underlying. So as we go through, BitDeer up 3.5% to 1148, with 1150 as the strike price. They're 0.17% out of the money, but they are out till next week, so we're not worried about that right now. CleanSpark up 3.3%, 1103, with 11 being the strike price. They're 0.27% in the money. Again, they didn't do anything though. No orange here. Nothing's under construction. We're just going to let it be and let some time decay go. Coinbase, 350 is what it dropped down to, 0.8%. They are 11.2% out of the money, so we can anticipate a close coming soon. Core Scientific up over 2.5%, 1707. That takes our 1650s, 3.3% in the money. 1750s, which is obviously more important, right? 5,600 contracts compared to 128. They're 2.5% out of the money still. So we could use a little pullback, but it's not the end of the world. Losing the 1650s as long as we win the 1750s. You can see the value difference, 19,000 compared to 657,000. Galaxy Digital up almost 10%. So we went from about 4% out of the money looking okay to so far in the money that they went ahead and just closed them out, rolled them to the following week. So GameStop up 3.39%. So bouncing off of that bad drop they had about a week or so ago. 24.39, still almost 0.5% out of the money. Definitely doesn't feel comfortable. So we're going to need it to sit still, but that's only 40 contracts. The rest are sold at 25, 1,750 contracts next week. 2.5% out of the money. Robinhood, the big winner over here too, 12.77% to 93.63. They had 90s sold. They left them alone though. They're 3.8% in the money. Hut 8 Corp up 5.3% to 1860 with 1850 at the strike price. 0.5% in the money. They let them go, hoping for a little pullback or even for it to just trade sideways. iShares, IBIT up 0.8%, 61.21. They don't trade any options on them. Mara Holdings up 4.3% to 15.68, getting close to those $16 strikes. They are all ready for next week though, so we're not too concerned. 2% out of the money. MBTX has two different spreads. The first one is a credit call spread. So they sold the 260. So we want the price to stay under 260. It currently is 254.96, about 2% out of the money. The second one is a debit put spread. So they bought the 230, sold the 150. So we want MBTX to drop below 230, but we got time. December 31st is the expiration date. So we'll watch this. It's currently almost 10% out of the money. It needs to go in the money for this to be a win. Mercado Libre Sorry, I need a drink. Okay, Mercado Libre up over 2% to 26.13. They had 26.10 selected. They're 0.14% in the money, leaving them alone for now. MicroStrategy, these guys had picked a safer strike price than the ULTY managers. Up 5.3%, but they're still out of the money on those 410s and 412.50s. Both are out till next week, though, so there's time. 1.4 and 2% out of the money. NU Holdings up 3.55% to 13.72. Calls for this week are still 2% out of the money. NVIDIA up a hair, 0.15%, just under 158, but 155. These were the ones that we started the week already in the money. So we went a little bit further in the money. Not sure what is that, 24-cent increase ends up hurting you that much on a shortened week, because the time decay, I would guess the time decay was greater than the 24 cents. So it probably actually went down today, the price of closing the option. Opera up 2.3% to 18.90, still staying 5.8% under that $20 strike, but those are all the way out till the 18th of July. PayPal up 0.92%, still 0.91% out of the money. These are, for this week, 75s, so we need it to not go up anymore. Riot Platforms up over 7% to 11.30. They had 11s and 11.50s sold, both for this week. The 11s are 2.6% in the money. Again, not that big of a deal. 181 contracts compared to 5,900 contracts, so we need the 11.50 to win. They're currently 1.7% out of the money. Tesla was the big loser. So we had lots of big winners, and 1.8% is the biggest loser, so we'll take it. 317.66 is 7% below that 340 strike for the third this week. And finally, Block up almost 2%, just barely out of the money. 7 cents to be exact, out of the money, 0.1%. So all in all, like you saw on the last screen, the value of the fund increased by $4.3 million. So we'll take it. That's a good day. LFGY, again, we closed 40.60. I thought it was higher. I might have forgot to update that. Let's check. Nope, I did update it. 40.60. Okay. So that's everything we've got. Decent day. We increased a lot in value on both funds. $4 million on a $142 million fund, and $15 million on a roughly $650 million fund. So we will take it. We'll take the wins. Stay tuned. Right, shortened week, Tuesday, and then the next day we'll get our distribution declared. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Got a dad joke of the day I put at the end of every video. Seems like more than half of you never make it this far based on the analytics, but that's okay. Maybe you just didn't know there's a dad joke coming. And anyway, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're pretty corny, but that's the way dad jokes go. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. Appreciate all the comments. I try to get back to every single one of them. Appreciate feedback and help, things people like to see, like to hear, questions. It's all great. So please share the video with other people that you know that have ULTY or LFGY or want to get into it. All right, dad joke of the day. What do you call an angry doctor? A therapist. Therapist. That one's not that great. Okay. Have a good night and good luck trading tomorrow. Catch you in the Tuesday video.